Hello and welcome to my latest weekly video news from Madison's. Well, a really important, interesting piece of research came out this week from Moverly. They completed a bit of research on what's going on with withdrawals and fall-throughs in the market. Now, a withdrawal is when a seller decides not to sell their property anymore. They take it off the market. A fall-through is when an offer has been agreed and then it collapses before the point of exchange. And the number of fall-throughs has really increased. It's up 18.1% quarterly, which equates to 76,000, just over fall-throughs, increased number of fall-throughs, which is a big rise, actually. I think we're seeing a bit of that in Madison's. I think one of the problems is repairs to properties have become so much more expensive. So if you get an adverse survey, then certainly that can cause issues. And the mortgage rate environment continues to be quite volatile. So you see these sort of small changes happening in percentage points, which means that people can't afford their mortgages so much anymore. Or they change their mind, get jittery, lots of negative media attention. Those are the kind of reasons that we see fall throughs. But we keep a really close eye on our deals. So we luckily don't have as many fall throughs as the industry average. My wonderful Millie and Jane keep everything under a very tight rein there and tend to let me and the rest of the team know if they think there's going to be an issue. Withdrawals, though, that is still, although that's only a slight increase, it's up about 2.5% quarterly, so nothing like the increase seeing in fall throughs, it still is the most dominant reason of why a property doesn't sell. It far exceeds the number of fall throughs. For every one fall through, there are on average 2.4% withdrawals. And the reason for those withdrawals, well, normally it's because a seller isn't getting sufficient interest or their expectations on price are not being met. I can absolutely 100% support that at the moment. As I wrote a recent article, look out for it in the next edition of The Business. Properties either fly off the shelf or stay on the shelf. So yeah, there's definitely a real trend on that, I would say. Interesting quote actually from Gemma Young, who works for Moverly. She said, "A great deal of sellers are choosing to withdraw from the market, and this is no doubt due to the fact they simply aren't gaining the interest required or at the price point they expected. Previous research of ours has shown that a common reason for homes struggling to find buyers is a misaligned pricing strategy. So accurate and reasonable valuation combined with close monitoring is always essential." I cannot support that enough, I have to say. Sometimes as an agent, you simply get a value wrong and you have to put your hands up to your seller and have that really quite uncomfortable conversation. Say, it was always just a sort of an indicative price point to test the market, see how it would go to, and ultimately the market hasn't supported it, buyers don't like it, so let's take action if you're serious on moving. So yeah, 100% would agree with that. Well, of course, I spoke last week about the Renters' Rights Bill, which is going to be coming in. Well, that was read again on the 9th of October last week to Parliament, and was the first time it came under debate. And the overwhelming response to it is that it needs to be balanced very carefully, because there is a great fear. What Labour want to do is create an environment for tenants whereby they feel much more secure and stable in their home, are not having to pay punitive rents, are having those homes well maintained and addressed. And a lot of that is eminently sensible and needs to happen. But the fear is that within the market, investor landlords will simply look to withdraw, because if it becomes too punitive because of all these restrictions and they're not making the returns, or the taxation is too high, or the commitment to go to an EPCC, which is really tricky on period properties, then there's a fear that they'll withdraw from the market, and that would have hugely damaging consequences on the private rental sector. Because if there's just less stock, tenants will be forced into other more expensive homes or into more temporary homes like bed and breakfast, etc. So a real balance needed was the overwhelming surge of opinion from Parliament there, that Labour need to be a bit careful with what they're doing to encourage investment still in what is a vital sector. And that leads me on to Rightsizing. So Barclays came out with a really interesting report last week. If you've seen the latest copy of The Business, you'll see my article in there. I talked about multi-generational living, so the benefit of an annex, basically. And this kind of leads on to that, because what it's basically saying is there are a phenomenal number of homes who have not right for the occupants. They have more than one spare bedroom. And therefore, if we could encourage those bigger families out of those and into smaller homes. It would free up those bigger homes for families living in very cramped conditions. So all very, very sensible. But of course, there's often a lot of emotion attached to leaving the much loved family home. It's a very scary move. And yet sellers cited a number of reasons why they don't want to do it. They find that the thought of the whole process of moving is very stressful. They think it will involve an awful lot of sorting out. There's the costs involved, and a fear of kind of like losing all that emotional connection with a much loved family home. The biggest reason they wanted to move was definitely cheaper running costs, less maintenance, and less fear of the garden, which I can absolutely agree with. So Barclays came up with these 5 measures that they feel government should introduce to help this sector right size more. And it's basically broaden perceptions of under occupiers just beyond older people. Would agree with that. I think empty nesters probably feel their houses are under occupied from quite an early age. Doesn't have to wait till you're really quite old, changing demographics, etc. Targeted financial incentives to make people want to move, grants, vouchers to offset stamp duty, that kind of thing. Help make the home buying process simpler and less stressful. Well, yes, if only we could move to a system like Scotland on that. Improve visibility of new housing, so raise awareness of right-sizing amongst a certain community, and build more retirement and age-suitable housing. So looking more at those planning reforms to make sure that people are able to build the right properties for them. Thank you to who you know you are out there who's looking to build a portal aimed at helping people right-size. If anyone wants more information on that in due course, let me know. I think there's a definite need for it because Rightmove don't allow you to put a filter on of annex, so it's a problem. But that obviously applies to multi-generational living. This is more about right-sizing. Lots going on in the world at the moment, but some great properties that we have on the market at the moment. We've got a lovely house, a really beautiful semi-detached Victorian property just outside Crowborough. It's on at a guide of £725,000. It's got the most exceptional views across the East Sussex countryside, and also has the advantage of no chain. So if you want a quick, stress-free purchase, then that could be the one for you. So do look at that on our website or contact the office for more details. Puppet Festival was amazing, wasn't it? Absolutely brilliant. Just posting some pictures here of me when I was watching the parade with my youngest daughter, which was absolutely breathtaking, actually, those puppets. We're so proud to be sponsoring the Fearless Fox when it comes shortly, so watch our social media for that. And as you gear up towards Halloween, I hope you enjoy this autumnal weather. See you next week. Bye-bye.